Hey there, guys. So today we're going to be talking about notes on complementary and supplementary angles. And if you don't have a printer at home, you don't need to worry about that. What I would suggest for you to do is, again, have a spiral notebook, something similar to this, just so that it keeps all your papers in order. I'm finding myself that I'm just putting stacks of papers all over the place and I'm having a difficult time keeping them in the correct order. You can certainly use regular line sheet of paper or print these out if you want. So what I'm just going to kind of do is kind of model how you could write these down on the notes if you didn't have a printer at home. So the vocabulary in this topic is extremely important. If you don't learn the vocabulary, then you're going to have a really difficult time with this. We are going to eventually be talking about equations again, but the vocabulary is huge. So we've got two angles are complementary angles if the sum of their measures is 90 degrees. So what I would do is on a line sheet of paper, I would actually write out the word complementary, just like I'm doing here, angles, and I would write that it's two angles that add up to 90. So I just took the definition and modified it a little bit. So I would just kind of write that, underline it. So boom, there we go, we have the definition. They're specifying too that complementary angles that are adjacent form a right angle. Adjacent angles, there's that other vocabulary word, are angles that are next to each other. They're giving us a couple examples. I also wrote on my paper here that what that means to have complementary angles is two angles. They could be the same or they could be different that add to 90 degrees. They're giving us an example that 60 plus 30 equals 90. And they're also giving us an example that 50 plus 40 equals 90. And we could make a ton of these different examples. That might help a little bit. But we're just going to go on to the examples that I have here. So what I would do again on my notebook is I would say, okay, we're going to example number 1 and either draw the pictures or just show the work. I will have the answer key for the notes posted with the worksheet, so you'll be able to refer back to that if needed. So anyways, now I'm going to transfer working on the worksheet. I would keep working on your paper, obviously. So example number 1 is just asking us to find the measure of each of these, or find the measure of each complement, excuse me. And so we have to remember that complement, anytime you see that word, this is not spelled the same as like if I'm giving you a compliment. Anytime you see complement, I want you to be writing 90 degrees, just so that you get in the habit of recognizing that. That's really frustrating. It keeps focusing. Maybe it'll stop. So anyways, if I have this angle that's 80 degrees, I want to find the complement to that. So I want to find what adds up to 90. So 90 minus 80 will then give me 10 degrees. So that's my answer. Obviously, I know that you could do that in your head, but I'm still just showing the work so that you understand where I'm getting the answers from, because this will become important because we're going to be writing equations. So then we've got a 30-degree angle. What's the complement to that? So it's 90 degrees minus the 30 degrees to give us 60 degrees, which we just did in the example up top. And then over here, if you have a 90-degree angle, they want us to find the complement to 45 degrees. So I start with 90, I subtract 45, and I also get 45 degrees. So that's the complement to that angle. So that should be pretty basic and straightforward. But again, it's vocabulary. So now we get into writing equations. Question number 2 says that angle 1, so that's the sign for angle, and angle 2 are complementary angles. So right off the bat again, I see that word complementary, and I'm reminding myself that that means 90 degrees. It says that the measure of angle 1 is 24 degrees, and the measure of angle 2 is 3x degrees. So the whole thing is 3x degrees. What is the value of x? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, right here, when they say angle 1 and angle 2 are complementary, r is being the same thing as an equal sign. So I'm going to write angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 90 degrees. This is my roadmap to how to set up this equation. So now that I know that angle 1 is 24, I'm going to substitute a 24 in place of angle 1. If I know angle 2 is 3x, I'm going to substitute 3x in place of angle 2. And now I've just simply set up a two-step equation for myself. So I'll subtract 24 from both sides. We're left with 3x equals 66. Then we divide both sides by 3, and we get that x equals 22. Now I want to be careful. This is not degrees. I noticed that quite a few of you, when you were writing your answers on your form, when you were solving for x, you would write degrees. This is just what the value of x is. When we take x and substitute it into x up here, 3 times 22 would give us 66. So this is a good example of you would want to do a check to make sure you're right. So 3 times 2 is 66, and then 66 plus 24 does give me 90. Question number 3. At first you might think that they're not giving you enough information, but they're saying, what is the value of x? They're giving us these lines right here that are clearly showing that these two angles together, this angle and this angle together, make a 90-degree angle. So I know that 47 6/10 plus x equals 90. So basically you're going to subtract 47 6/10 from 90. So even if you didn't show your work as an equation here, I would understand why. And now we get 42 7/10. And because there is that degree sign on that x right there, you can go ahead and put a degrees. You don't always do that, but because they specified it there, you're okay. So that would be your final answer. Okay. Moving on to the next page. Now I've already lost my paper. We're moving on to another vocabulary word. And it says that two angles are supplementary if the sum of their measures is 180 degrees. Supplementary angles that are adjacent form a straight angle. So two angles that add together to be 180 are called supplementary. So again, x plus y now equals 180 degrees. So how I remember the difference between complementary and supplementary is very simple. C comes before S in the alphabet, and 90 comes before 180 on the number line. So complementary is two angles that add up to 90. Supplementary is two angles that add up to 180. And then again, they're giving us an example that again, here's that straight line, and a straight line adds up to 180 degrees. So 90 plus 90 is 180. If you were to take these two angles and kind of smush them together here, 160 plus 20 would give us 180, which again makes a straight line. So next they're having us find the supplement to these three. And this is very similar to what we just did on the front. So again, I would have 180 this time though, because I see that word supplement. So I'm going to write the 180 degrees. So I take 180, subtract 50, and get 130 degrees. For B, I'm going to take 180 minus 165 and get 15 degrees. And again, for C, they're showing me that this is a right angle, which is the same thing as 90 degrees. So 180 minus 90 will obviously give me 90 degrees. Don't worry that we jumped to example number 6. We just made a mistake in the numbering. We didn't skip anything. Question number 7. So what I would suggest to you is to redraw this diagram on your paper if you didn't print this out. And when they give you a diagram, you want to make sure you also read the information that's given to you. So they're telling us that A, B, C, they all lie on a line. So right off the bat, they're giving me the information that, of course it doesn't show up, that ABC is 180 degrees. They're telling me that. Ray BD is drawn such that this M angle BD is the measure of angle BD, ABD. So just be careful in reading that. It's the shorthand that mathematicians use. So they're telling us that the measure of angle ABD is 5x minus 2. So they did label that for us. And the measure of angle CBD is 2x. So CBD is 2x. So together, what can you tell me? They're saying, what is the relationship between the two angles? What is the relationship between angle ABD and angle CBD? Obviously, you can't just call each of those angles angle B because you wouldn't know what you're talking about. But together, they lie on a straight line. So together, they are 180 degrees, or you could now say our new vocabulary word, they are supplementary, because supplementary angles add up to 180. So we want to stop and recognize what is the relationship between those. Then they want us to find the value of x. So in order to find the value of x, I need to remember that angle ABD plus angle CBD are supplementary. So that means when they're added together, they equal 180. I'll move that up a little bit. So they told us that ABD is 5x minus 2, so I will substitute that into ABD. They told me that CBD is 2x, so I will substitute that in. And then I have equals 180, and then I will go through and combine like terms and solve for x. So 5x plus 2x is 7x, and then I bring the 7x, the minus 2 down. So now I'm going to add 2. So that's like 7x equals 182. Divided by 7. 182 divided by 7 is going to give me 26. So again, I'm not labeling that as 26 degrees. I'm just saying that x is 26. So now they want me to find the measure of both angles. So if the measure of angle ABD is 5x minus 2, I'm now going to substitute 26 in place of the x and go through and evaluate. So that's going to be 128, I believe. And now that is degrees because I'm telling you what the measure of angle ABD is. And the measure of angle CBD. Now I know some of you are saying, well, can't I just now take 180 and subtract 128 from it and get my answer? You could, but what I'm trying to do is check to make sure that I did my math correct. So if you were to just subtract this from 180, if for some reason this answer was wrong, then you would get both answers incorrect. So CBD was 2x, so I'm going to substitute 26 in place of the x. So 2 times 26 is going to give me 52. And then just to double check, is 128 plus 52 180? Yes, it is. So I know that my math is correct. But it all comes back to knowing that these two angles together are supplementary and add up to 180. All right. And moving on to example number 8. This says that two angles, angle A and B, are complementary. So again, right off the bat, I'm going back to the vocabulary. Complementary means 90. And then I've just stopped at that first sentence. The measure of angle B is 3 less than twice the measure of angle A. Find the measure of both angles. So this is kind of reminding me of a let statement. Which one am I going to call x? Well, if B is 3 less than twice the measure of angle A, I'm going to call the measure of angle A just x. And then the measure of angle B is 3 less than, so that's subtract, twice the measure of angle A, so that's 2x minus 3. So I'm taking 3 away from the twice A. And then since they are A and B are complementary, they're adding up to 90. So now substitute my expression for A, which was x, substitute my expression for B, which was 2x minus 3, and simplify. So that's 3x minus 3, add 3, we get 3x equals 93, and we divide both sides by 3, and we get x equals 31. Again, that's not 31 degrees technically right now, unless now I substitute into here, into X, it's just 31. So yes, now I'm going to put 31 degrees here. Then I'm going to put 2 times 31 minus 3. 2 times 31 is going to give me 62, and then 62 minus 3 will give me 59. And then just double check. Is 31 plus 59 going to give us 90? Yes, it does. And then our last example. Then I would redraw this on your paper. So this says that in the diagram below, points Q and P all lie on a straight line with rays NM and NR drawn such that angle PNR is 3n minus 14, so they already labeled that for us. And angle MNP is 4n plus 6, so they already labeled that for us. And then they're also telling us that the measure of angle MNR, so all of that is 118 degrees. Find the measure of QNM. So they're asking us to find this one. That's what we don't know. We do know that QNP is a straight line. So we do know that all of this, of course I did not mean to go right through that, but I did, is 180 degrees. So at first glance, you might be going, okay, how is them giving me these two things as expressions possibly going to give me that angle? Well, since they are telling me what these two angles are added together, I can set up an equation to find n. So let's just do that. They're not complementary, they're not supplementary. We just know that these two together add up to 118. So I know that 4n plus 6 plus 3n minus 14 all add up to 118. So that leaves me with 7n, take away 8 equals 118. I'm going to add 8 to both sides. I'm left with 7n equals 126. Divide by 7, and I get n equals 18. So now I know that n equals 18. If I know that n equals 18, I now know that if the measure of angle MNP was 4n plus 6, I can substitute 18 in place of the n. So 4 times 18 is going to give me 72, and then 72 plus 6 will give me 78. So now I know that this angle right here is 78 degrees. So if this is 78, I know this is a straight line, and so I know that two angles on a straight line add up to 180. Now all I need to do is take what QNP is, subtract now the angle MNP that I know, and that will give me angle QNM. QNP was 180, angle MNP is 78. When I subtract that, I now get 102. So now I know the angle QNM is 102. So I had to set up an equation, figure out what angle MNP was, sorry if that all covered up, and then subtract to get 102. There are other ways. Sometimes I might show my work differently than you do, and you will get the same answer, and that's perfectly okay. Just want to make sure that, again, we do see our work on the papers. If you guys have any questions after viewing the video and then trying to do the practice, please make sure that you reach out to me. I'm available to meet with you on a Google Meet on Tuesdays, or you can set up a separate time to meet with me individually, or as always, you can email me questions. Thanks, guys, for watching. I hope that you have a great day, night, evening, whatever it is that you happen to be watching. I'm really sad that I won't get to see you for a long time, but I'm hoping to, we'll have to do a flip grid sometime soon. So thank you, guys. We'll see you later.